Garrett, let's go over to you. And we've talked about Pac 12 meteorites and shoehorn that into as many episodes as we can. I think you're taking us out west for your first breakout candidate, Jaquindon Jackson.
Yeah, and a guy who, remember, was recruited as a quarterback out of another Dallas area high school. So,
Right.
look,
Duncanville.
we were talking about, big time players at all these different colleges and how we're not going to go that direction. And I know that Utah has won back to back conference championships. I get that. Okay. And so I'm not necessarily going for small program here, but Jaquindon Jackson, look, this dude is about as set as anybody to make a big splash. I want to go kind of through his story and kind of how he got to where he is because I think he's a really interesting candidate. So, as I mentioned, he was a guy who's coming out of Duncanville, and in high school, he was an elite athlete. I mean, I remember watching him even his sophomore year in the playoffs. And in a game where my high school ended up beating Duncanville, little plug there. But it was just a really interesting one because I saw him and it was kind of a who's going to get the ball last, like or who's going to because he was going to score. You just knew he was going to score, and we played physical, defense at my high school, but he was still just trucking dudes that were, you know, his size, maybe a little bit bigger, and I mean just running around people. He's an insane matchup in high school. So naturally, he gets recruited all the biggest programs, heads to Texas originally, and doesn't exactly end up fitting there. I don't think that they really knew how they wanted to use him. I think they were thinking about moving him to running back, maybe keeping him as a bigger quarterback. I think there were brief talks about moving him to tight end at some point, and that just didn't end up washing out very much. And decides after a stint at Texas doesn't work out. I'm going to transfer to Utah. I'm moving to Salt Lake City. I'm going to head up there. And Kyle Whittingham almost immediately said, "No, this kid he needs to be playing running back. He's the right kind of athlete, the right size to be just a dominant running back. He's 6'2", he's 229. He's a big dude, and he is crazy. Like we said, crazy, freakishly athletic. And he saw the future at the running back position, so he said, "Go ahead, give it a shot." Now, a couple things that make me really excited about this is number one, the offensive coordinator stuck around, right? Andy Ludwig stuck around, decided to give it another run in Utah. This was the 11th ranked scoring offense, and they were also the 11th ranked rushing offense in the country. They ended up with, I want to check my notes here, 217 rushing yards per game. The Utes aren't necessarily afraid to pass, but being physical at the line of scrimmage, that's their bread and butter, right? That is what they do. That's how they succeed, especially in a Pac 12 conference where, let's face it, defenses don't typically play as physically as in other conferences, right? It's a lot more of a spread it out, passing based offense out there, and that's how the defenses are typically designed. Now Jackson gets the opportunity to start after Tavion Thomas goes to the NFL. He's going to go off and succeed there. But even in some limited opportunities last year, he only had 78 carries. He led the team both in rushing touchdowns with 9 and yards per carry at 6.8. This guy was already dominating before he got the chance to start. Just go back and look at a couple of his big performances at the end of last year. He had that like 53-yard touchdown run against USC where he trucks through the line of scrimmage, running down. He dragged a DB like 15 yards into the end zone to kind of ice that one. He had that one where he hit the Rose Bowl game where he hit the spin cycle on that Penn State defender. Runs through a bunch of arm tackles down the sideline, scores another big touchdown there. You just watch the guy run, and he just passes the eye test, right? We don't want to only go by the eye test. But these are against two pretty good defenses and pretty good athletes, at least in those defenses. Penn State had a really good defense last year. He had no problem having some success against them. I just think with more opportunities, this guy's going to break out. He's built for it. He's built to be a bell cow. He's built to be, just that physical presence. And I think that he's going to have a lot of fun with that. He's also got great pieces around him. Cam Rising coming back, he was extremely effective last year. The offensive line returns a lot. There's a lot of older experience on that line. Even with the guys replacing him, they're upperclassmen. And so a lot of experience, a lot of strength there. A lot of good talent returning on defense as well. They're a defense that ranked 19th in yards per game, 27th in scoring defense. So he's going to be on the field. He's going to have opportunities to touch the football, to do whatever he can with it when he gets it. And I'm just really excited to kind of see where he can go from here. He I think that he's the kind of guy that we could be looking up here in a couple of months, into the season. We could be saying, "Oh, Jaquindon Jackson has another highlight reel. He's always interrupting our regularly scheduled programming for the CBS, update or whatever." And then he just hits the highlight reel once again, another 70 something yard run against Arizona or something like that. I'm really excited to see how he ends up performing this next season, because I think he's going to be a highlight reel type candidate. And with his physicality, I think that he's going to draw a lot of eyes, and it could be a household name, come 2023.
He's a fun guy to watch, and I think folks really started to understand who he was at the end of last year. So yeah, I think he fits perfectly in what Utah wants to do. I'm really excited to see what he can do in red.
Yeah, that postseason run that they had, starting with, I think right before the postseason with Colorado, but
Mm-hmm.
USC and Penn State just had no answer for him on the defensive side of the
Yeah.
ball. He was just insane, absolutely what you're looking for in a breakout candidate. He's already done it on the field. We've seen it. He had almost 8 yards a carry last year, something ridiculous like that, almost 7 yards a carry, excuse me. And he's explosive. He's going to be probably the best athlete on the field most of the time when he steps up out there. And yeah, the Utes fans are going to have a lot of fun watching him this year.
I'm excited to see if he can truly kind of complete that change in position, right? Go from a quarterback to just an elite athlete playing at the running back position, and then I'd love to go see him make it to the NFL as well.
Right.
A great kid, good story, like you said, Garrett, and yeah, really, really excited to see what he continues to do in the Pac-12 South.
Well, one of the things that I think gives him a huge advantage too is the fact that he was a quarterback, so he understands what defenses are trying to do, and that can help you with your vision as a running back. A lot of running backs, just pure running backs, they come out and they have to learn how to look at a defense and where they're shifting and find the holes and find the gaps. Whereas he's already done things like check and see where the DBs are dropping and who's shifting where with the linebackers, and so that little bit of knowledge I think is going to help him do those things and read defenses. Not that he necessarily has to, because he could just hit the truck stick and see you later to most guys. But no, I'm really excited to see what he can do.
Gracious, power